In the saga of not wanting to drink water with harsh chemicals added to it, I've explored a few different options. First, I was buying water from those blue vending machines which used reverse osmosis purification. That proved to be rather impractical carrying large bottles of water on my bike, and I got annoyed of them being randomly sold out for no reason, and the coin slot being blocked, and I'm not paying a 20% transaction fee to use a credit card, and I'm not driving down to the nearest water store, and I'm definitely not driving up to the mountains to collect river water like my friend who's a bigger water snob than me. Plus, I learned that reverse osmosis water, while it is very pure, may actually strip minerals out of your body because it is too pure, like distilled water. Next, I found my own reverse osmosis system in the trash one day, and I refurbished it with new membrane and filter elements. I also bought a remineralization cartridge to avoid the aforementioned nutrition problem. However, due to my living situation, I had nowhere to install it permanently, so I rigged it up with a garden hose fitting and would hook it up once a week to filter a few gallons. This worked fine, but it took literal hours to fill up those few gallons. And these passive undersink reverse osmosis systems are very inefficient, rejecting about 3 gallons of brine water for every gallon they produce. Eventually my friends introduced me to the Berkey water filter, which is a gravity-fed system using carbon block filters, with these optional white ion exchange cartridges for removing fluoride and heavy metals. I like the simplicity, and it doesn't waste water. My friends also gave me some broken filters to see if I could fix them and build my own setup. At this time I was quite ready to abandon my reverse osmosis garden hose setup, as it was coming time to replace the filters on those anyways. I found that the beauty of the Berkey is, it's very easy to just buy the filters and DIY your own tank setup, saving hundreds of dollars on an official unit in the process. There's already dozens of videos out there on how to do this. Just find 2 stackable watertight containers, drill 13/32 holes in the top one to mount the filters. In my case, I used a 15-gallon stainless steel keg for the bottom reservoir, which conveniently the previous owner had already cut a big hole in the top and put a valve on the bottom. And for the top I used a large stainless steel cooking pot, which was just tall enough to fit the filters inside. Pro tip, the white filters are bigger diameter than the black ones, so don't accidentally drill the holes too close together like I did the first time. Now to the issue here. While they are incredibly simple, at least relative to reverse osmosis, the design of Berkey filter elements is incredibly dumb. They're unnecessarily fragile. You have this big cylindrical thing on top that's only supported by a 10mm plastic threaded stub, which is hollow, which may additionally be supporting the weight of the optional white filter on the bottom. The result is what happened to my friend's filter. Someone dropped it, and instantly all 5 filters broke off. These things aren't cheap either, and last I checked there was a waiting list to order new ones. Though they do last a long time, and you can run a system with fewer elements than it's designed for, it will just filter slower. Anyways, I took to the task of repairing them, first trying super glue, which I don't recommend since it has cyanide in it, and they did work, but eventually broke again. I then resorted to my machining skills to make new threaded stubs from 10mm stainless steel bolts, and then I machined some brackets to hold the new stubs in place with a rubber washer to seal them tight. And they work quite well. The filters are, however, a bit taller than they originally were, so that's something to keep in mind, and it took about 8 hours of machining. I began with a piece of stainless steel plate and cut out 8 squares with an angle grinder. Because I don't have a big enough metal punch for a material this thick, I decided to machine them into discs on the lathe. I started by making a faceplate fixture which would have the hole pattern for the filter brackets. The faceplate was made from an old chuck adapter from a fixture I took apart and no longer needed. I first faced it flat, and I turned the outer diameter so I could indicate it later to drill the hole pattern on center. I also drilled a hole in the middle to clear the tip of the drill, which would cut the hole for the 10mm thread stubs in the lower brackets. Here we're indicating the faceplate in the drill press. I made 2 separate hole patterns, one with tapped holes to screw the top brackets on, and one with through holes to screw into the threaded lower brackets from the back. Now I'm going to use the faceplate as a template to center punch the holes in the pieces of plate themselves. Then we'll mount them on the faceplate, turn 4 of them, drill 4 of them, and then bore a big hole in 4 of them and turn the other. It'll make sense. Since I still don't have a set of transfer punches for some reason, I just took a drill bit and then scribed a little circle, and I'm going to punch them with an actual center punch and then drill them. I'm drilling half of them, I'm drilling and tapping the other half. I want to be clear on that. Alright, now the fun part of mounting these things on the faceplate, and then drilling a hole in half of them, boring a hole in half of them, and machining the outside contour, hopefully not killing anybody in the process with big chunks of sharp sheet metal flying off. I think we could do it. Here I'm using a turning tool to groove out the middle slug. This is my technique for not having to use a hole saw to cut through stainless sheet metal, because that doesn't sound like fun, and then you need a size exactly to clear the filter element, so we ain't messing with that. So it needs to open up a little more. I'm gonna use the bore bar. And also this method I get a free slug that doesn't have a pilot hole in it. Here I'm boring the hole open to just barely clear the black filter element, and yes, it did gouge the faceplate a bit, but this one was kind of sacrificial. And the final step was to turn the square piece into a round piece. Functionally this might not be necessary, but I didn't want to risk any interference problems, and it also looks nicer. Alright, there it is, the first of 4 top pieces. Now just repeat that 3 times, and then the bottom pieces are easy. It's just a drilled hole in the middle, it's not this big bored hole. This is to clear the black filter element. This is to screw onto the bottom piece, and the bottom piece just has a threaded stub going in. After deburring everything and cleaning it up, it's time to assemble. I first filed off the remains of the broken thread stubs on the filters, and then deburred the hole. I started by positioning the big rubber washer and the new thread stub on the bottom of the filter. Next, sliding the top bracket over the filter, which rests on this hard plastic collar. Then sliding the small rubber washer on the thread stub, which I forgot to do beforehand. Then the lower bracket slides over the thread stub, without dropping the first washer, whoops. And then we can put the screws in. And there it is. It looks like I need to cut these screws shorter so they aren't sticking down. Here's gonna go the original washers that come with the Berkey filter, and they're about 1/4 inch thick, so I don't want all this thread stub sticking out, otherwise it won't gasket it where I want to gasket it. This is take 2 of assembling it. This time I now have a big rubber gasket thingy to go right here to prevent debris. The cooking pot with the new improved fixed filters on this side and the white ones on this side, and it fits in like so. So that's gonna filter on down. You can hear it dripping down here. And then we get our water. I eventually replaced the original gate valve on this thing with a ball valve because it opens faster, and I welded a metal stand for the thing. In the end, I actually like the taste of this water better than both the vending machine and the remineralized reverse osmosis water. It just tastes more balanced. But yeah, just design your filters better.